Welcome to the Madhouse, Batman!
Stop right there! First off, how did you get on my channel? Second, I'm not Batman. Third, you ruined the surprise. Now get out of here. What's good, YouTube world? Killua Morales is back at it again with another top 10 list. Now, for those who don't know, this month marks the anniversary of when a specific anime studio was founded, giving us some of the most popular and iconic anime of all time. If you haven't seen the title, I'm talking about the beloved anime studio known as Madhouse. And October 17th marks their 40th anniversary. Now, to celebrate this anniversary, I will be giving you all what I think are the best anime produced by them. But before I go into my list, I have one condition. No movies. Let's face it, if I added movies to this list, it would take up more than half of it with no hesitation, so I'm only looking at the anime series. With that aside, let's hop into it. Number 10. Death Parade. Okay, let's start with one of the most misleading opening themes of all time. When you see and hear Flyers by Bradio, you'd be thinking that you're walking into a happy and exciting series. Well, unfortunately, you won't be getting any of that. What you're given instead is multiple tales of tragedy. In every episode, two characters are introduced and are met with a man with an empty look on his face, revealing to them that they have passed away in the real world. Now, I've seen my share of anime where the theme of the afterlife is used, and isekais are no stranger to this theme. What makes this different is that these characters have to play different games to determine whether or not they will be reincarnated. This original anime gives you an insight on how people may react to learning of their death, and gives you an insight on what they were like before their passing. It hits and builds on some very dark subject matter like jealousy, revenge, greed, suicide, the list goes on. And we're not talking about the story, especially since there is no overarching story. Madhouse delivered like a boss with the art and animation. Each character design is different and the animation was so fluent, especially when you see the aforementioned opening theme. You can't help but love every single detail in the art and animation, showing you that even though Madhouse has limited information, they can still deliver, showing that with age comes wisdom and a party. Number 9. Death Note. Now, going from one psychological series to another, we have one of the most talked about series of all time. Imagine if you were given the power to kill anyone just by writing down their name. What would you do with that power? Would you be a vigilante and kill the most evil criminals in the world? Well, you get that answer with this series as we follow Light Yagami, who has an IQ that can rival Stephen Hawking, obtaining the titular notebook, deciding that he's going to be this world's god. Now, despite the fact that he helped with lowering the crime rate all around the world, you can't help but hate him more and more as the story progresses, as he becomes more and more unhinged due to his god complex. The art and animation add to the intensity of the story, showing you how unhinged he becomes, from the intense camera movement to the dark tone of the lighting. Ironic, isn't it? This series inspired so many other series with this formula, giving birth to many copycats and parodies, showing the cultural impact that it had. This is a must-watch series, especially for those who enjoy psychological thrillers. But word of advice, do not watch the Netflix live action, as not only did it squander the original, but it did what Hollywood and M. Night Shyamalan did to Avatar: The Last Airbender. They whitewashed and rushed it out the door. If you want to watch a live action, watch the original live action, or better yet, just watch the anime. Number 8. The Tomb. Now we have one of the most overlooked and underrated anime of the past decade. Taking inspiration from one of the most critically acclaimed Japanese films of all time, Battle Royale, you follow a NEET, who is Japan's greatest gamer of the popular MMO of the same name, being kidnapped and stranded on an island where he's forced to play the game he's good at against others in hopes to return home. The catch is, he's not playing this game on a console or PC. He's playing this game in real life. This series was such an amazing watch from start to finish, as we see multiple characters struggle to survive and see the main character form strong bonds with allies. This is also hard to watch at times because we hit some dark subject matter, including not only murder but also rape, child abuse, corporate corruption, just to name a few. This holds nothing back as we see many unhinged characters fighting to the death and see a psychopath producer enjoy every second of the carnage, showing how far people are willing to go for selfish goals. This can get pretty graphic at times as well, as the art and animation shows the gruesome nature of the fights, making any viewer want to puke over seeing all of the corpses. Either way, this is still an amazing series, as it also shows that there is hope in times of despair. Eat your heart out, Monokuma. This series needs another season to continue the already amazing story, and to tell you the truth, this was one of the reasons why I enjoyed the hit Netflix series Squid Game. Number 7. Hajime no Ippo. Now, as I've stated in my top 10 anime of 2021, I'm not much of a fan of sports anime, but there's always that one series that manages to catch my attention, and Hajime no Ippo was one of those sports anime, as it follows a timid kid named Ippo Makanouchi wanting to know what it means to be strong, only to come out as one of the best boxers of his generation. Every season of this criminally underrated series was amazing, as not only do we see intense boxing scenes, but we also learn about different boxing moves, from the basics like hooks and uppercuts to the more advanced like liver punches and counter punches. You also see how others question what it means to be strong, and even how each boxing match affects those who aren't directly involved, as we see how family members are affected by them, like Ippo's mother and even his crush Kumi, giving the audience a simple yet effective plot twist. The art and animation are what makes this series such an amazing sports anime, as each of the boxing matches and even the training session feels realistic. This is an old anime that aged well like a fine wine, and if you're a fan of boxing or even MMA, this is the series for you. Especially if you're a fan of the hit series Megalobox. Number 6. Paranoia Agent. Okay, if you're not familiar with the beloved director and producer Satoshi Kon, then I have a question for you. Where the hell have you been? Known for his hit movies including Tokyo Godfathers, Millennium Actress, Paprika, and arguably the greatest horror anime of all time, Perfect Blue, Satoshi Kon gives us one of the best psychological thrillers of all time, following two detectives trying to solve multiple crimes caused by one known assailant known only as Little Slugger, or Shonen Bat for those who watch the Japanese dub. The first 5 episodes makes you think it's just an episodic series where each episode will follow a different character suffering from what's called a social phenomenon, only to be cured after being attacked by Little Slugger. That's when you realize that it's not going to roll that way in the least bit. Due to Satoshi Kon's amazing storytelling and focus on realism, you have a series that not only tackles what is essentially mental illness, but also blurs the line between reality and fantasy. Just when you thought that one issue was resolved, you're hit with a curveball showing that not everything is what it seems. You have to watch this series at least 3 or 4 times in order to obtain a decent enough understanding. But even with that, you're still going to be left with more questions than answers. Then there's the art and animation. Satoshi Kon is known for heavy emphasis on character designs, as he wants to show these characters as actual people with actual life problems. If you ever get tired of the traditional anime style involving unnatural hairstyles and colors, or characters with eyes taking up half of their faces, then this is the series for you. It may mess with your head, but if you take your time with this anime, you'll realize that understanding human nature is the main theme of this show, so don't try to rush through it. Number 5. Parasite, the Maxim. Okay, this anime was advertised as a horror anime, but in all honesty, there's not much about this that may consider it horror, other than the fact that it's brutal, to put it lightly. Taking place in a world where Earth is invaded by snake-like aliens that are later called parasites and take over humans by entering their heads, usually through their ear or nose, and they would fight for survival by consuming humans that haven't been possessed by these parasites. One parasite would fail to take over protagonist Shinichi Izumi's body, resulting in him merging with his right hand and later taking on the name Migi. After learning of the parasite's goal, Shinichi and his new ally go on a journey to kill any parasites that threatens the lives of humans. After watching this anime, you can see that the main theme behind it is, can someone who does not display human-like qualities be humanized? From the very beginning, these parasites are seen as remorseless and bloodthirsty creatures. Even though they're seen this way, there are some out there who started off like this but later learned how to be human. The chemistry between Shinichi and Migi started off as two unlikely allies who are constantly hostile towards each other. But as the story progresses, Migi learns to mellow down and appreciate what humanity has to offer. Unfortunately for Shinichi, the reverse happens as he becomes closer and closer to losing losing his humanity. When thinking about it now, this may also be considered a psychological horror, as this does mess with your head sometimes, but you can see a little bit of slasher horror with a few jump scares here and there. The art and animation was solid as well, but it was the sound department that made this anime stand out above the rest. Even though this was an adaptation of a manga from the 80s, Madhouse did an amazing job modernizing the art and animation so that it comes off as fresh. This was clearly an inspiration for the hit manga series Tokyo Ghoul, but if you want something with better animation and a much better story, Parasite is the series for you. Number 4. No Game, No Life. Okay, I had to choose an isekai to make this list, but it was hard to decide between this and the overly popular Overlord. In the end, I chose this due to it being such an underrated series like Platoon that deserves a second season. This follows two step-siblings who are shut-ins but dominate various online games under the username Blank. Even though they're beasts on the internet, they don't have anything to do with the real world, but all that changed when responding to a message from an unknown user only for them to be transferred to another world called Disboard, where they meet the god of this world named Tet. They learn that in this world, battles are determined through games, and afterwards they meet a girl looking to regain her father's throne, thus beginning their journey to rule over this world. This was often viewed as a mediocre anime, but that's mainly due to the fact that the anime was left on an enormous cliffhanger. Even so, what you have in the meantime is a well-paced and entertaining story with over-the-top humor that rivals Studio Trigger's animation to back it up. Every episode gets better as we learn more and more about the world and see strong character development for each and every single character. And that's not even talking about the references to video games, with the biggest reference being the Ace Attorney franchise. Of course, the art and animation was what made this stand out from its isekai counterparts. Madhouse delivered what can be considered movie budget worth of animation, as each and every game that's played gets more and more grand, showing not only the scale but also the impact that it has not only on the characters but the audience as well. Madhouse, give us another goddamn season. We need it now. Number 3. Monster. Okay, what is it about Madhouse producing series that messes with your mind? This slow yet well-paced anime tells the tale of an elite neurosurgeon named Kenzo Tenma who performed surgery on the wrong man only to lose everything he worked hard for and then was later restored after the death of the hospital director. Years later, his past comes back to haunt him, leading to him embarking on a quest to right his wrongs. This anime knows how to take you into a world where the line between good and evil is abandoned. Most of the series are mainly character arcs, those being characters that Dr. Tenma has met on his quest. Despite it seeming like there is no overarching story, you're shown that each character intertwines with the main plot, where each character plays a role in solving a mystery. This series is filled with an abundance of philosophies that makes you question your morals and ideals. Some of the main themes behind this anime includes hope and generosity, but just like Parasite the Maxim, the overarching theme is the theme of what it means to be human. Despite most of the story being completely drowned in corruption and despair, it's very compelling on how it's told. Every character, especially the supporting cast, plays an important role in the overarching story, leaving no stone unturned. The main two characters are two sides of the same coin. One just can't exist without the other. Just like Paranoia Agent, the art and animation focused heavily on realism, and the backgrounds look like Renaissance painting brought to modern times. Obviously, this anime is not for everyone due to its complex storytelling, but if you take your time and watch this masterpiece, then believe me when I say that Monster is a series that makes you understand humanity in a different light than you're used to. Number 2. Hunter x Hunter 2011. Now I know what you're thinking. You call yourself Killua Morales, and yet the anime with your favorite character is only number 2? That doesn't make any sense. Well, if you're thinking that, I can understand why. But just hear me out. Once you see my number 1, everything will make sense. For now, let's talk about Hunter x Hunter. Just from the fact that there's a year after the name only shows that this is actually a remake. More specifically, a remake of the original anime from 1999. When something like this happens, it usually means that the original either failed miserably or just did not age well. This has happened to a lot of series including Full Metal Alchemist, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Hellsing, Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, and even Neon Genesis Evangelion. Hunter x Hunter was a much needed remake that every fan of the manga needed. Created by the man who gave us arguably the best anime from the 90s, Yu Yu Hakusho, we follow a 12-year-old boy deciding that he wants to find his father, but in order to do that, he has to become what's called a hunter, essentially the elites of the world that do some of the most dangerous jobs, from exploring to even bounty hunting. This starts off like your typical shonen series, exam arc, tournament arc, special abilities, the list goes on. But as the story progresses, you realize that it's more than just a shonen series, as you're hit with one of the best arcs in shonen anime history, and it also gives us one of the best villains. Madhouse have been working on this anime for more than 3 years, and they did not drop in animation. They only got better and better with every episode. This anime is proof that with the right source material and the right studio, you can make an amazing series that will last forever. Now we just need Togashi to continue the damn manga. Now before I give my number 1 choice, it's best that I give you guys some honorable mentions. These anime could have made the list, but these 10 anime just beat them by a landslide. And those anime are Overlord. Hey, just because it didn't make the list, it doesn't mean it wasn't an amazing watch. All the Raymond in the Sky. What happens when a lazy pervert becomes a dangerous battle strategist? Sunny Boy, an anime that takes inspiration from the girl that leapt through time. Stitch, yes. There's a spin-off anime to the hit Disney movie and TV series Lilo and Stitch. The Irregular in Magic High School, giving us a guy with no talent in magic that can beat prodigies without breaking a sweat. Black Lagoon, giving us one of the most badass women in anime and manga that drops more F-bombs than Samuel L. Jackson. My Love Story, a beautiful love story that shows that you should never judge a book by its cover. And Boogie Pop, when a Shinigami wants to save humanity by fighting against a corrupt corporation hell-bent on controlling humanity. Number 1. Trigun. Okay, I'm sure a lot of people agree that the 90s was the golden age of anime, giving us some influential anime of all time, including Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Mobile Suit Gundam, Pokemon, One Piece, Cowboy Bebop, and Berserk. I can make a list of each anime that helped revolutionize what anime is today, but that would take forever, so I'm only going to talk about one of Madhouse's best works from that decade. Everything that I've mentioned from the past entries, well, minus the afterlife explanation from Death the Parade, you get in this anime. Following the point of view of a quirky gunslinger known only as Vash the Stampede, you see a man trying to find his way of life while constantly being hunted down by bounty hunters. This anime is very episodic as we see our favorite donut lover go from one town to another, rinse and repeat. This 90s anime never gets old, as not only do you get slapstick humor with the best running gag in anime history, Where's That Black Cat, but also a very well told episodic story that later gets an overarching story as well. The characters delivered as well, especially with how two-faced everybody is, including the main cast. This anime really hits hard on dark and heavy topics like the meaning of life, revenge, desperation, greed. The list goes on. It takes these topics and makes it so that even young audience can understand what's going on. The animation was obviously limited compared to anime nowadays, but it's plain as day that Madhouse put a lot of dedication into not only the art style, but the animation as well, because every scene stands out on their own. The voice acting was amazing as well, but I definitely recommend watching the English dub, as this was a series that helped many voice actors become as popular as they are, especially the voice of Vash himself, Johnny Young Bosch. If you don't know who he is, he's the voice of Lelouch from Code Geass, Ichigo from Bleach, Izaya from Durarara, Giyu from Demon Slayer, and Nero from Devil May Cry. In the end, Trigun is the standard for Madhouse anime, which is why I believe it's their best anime they've ever produced. Well, that's it for this list. Do you agree with it? What was your favorite Madhouse anime? Comment below to give me your thoughts. Also, to the staff of Madhouse, if you're watching this video right now, happy 40th anniversary. I look forward to all the works that you plan to do in the future. And of course, I'm looking forward to what your branch off studio Mappa is going to do as well. But enough of the celebration, back to the viewers. Now, October has been going strong with not only the new season, but also the video games as well. So be prepared to see either a live stream or a playthrough. But for now, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, just like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to tap the bell icon so you're never missing out on a future video. But until then, thanks for watching. I'm leaving in Godspeed. Peace!